This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by All-Star Vacation Homes. And if you're planning a trip to Walt Disney World soon and you're thinking, I'm going to be drinking around the world, going to need a good place to go crash at, you don't want to just have a room that you got to share with everyone else to go crash at. Why not have a nice place that you can relax in your own room? When you have the bed spins, they'll be in your own bed and not in anyone else's room over there, so you can enjoy it by yourself. And you know what? This is just one of the many amenities that a typical All-Star Vacation Home has, like your own private pool, full kitchen, lots of other great amenities. Check them out at www.allstarvacationhomes.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, November 13th, 2009, and this is episode 644 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hodgeberg of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Len Testa, co-author of the Intro Guide to Walt Disney World. And Len, it's Friday the 13th. Are you spooky?
No, actually, I got married on Friday the 13th, so...
Did you really?
Really did.
Wow. Also joining us on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
And so the story is told to children of all ages that if you wish hard enough and believe strong enough, Tinkerbell may appear to fly high above Cinderella Castle.
Muppets. Just like Pirates of the Caribbean. Kiss Goodnight?
No. Is it Wishes?
No, Fantasy in the Sky.
Fantasy in the Sky.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. And Mike, if I could describe you in one phrase, I would say you are a New World man.
Oh. Well, yes, I am. I kind of think of him as a Muppet.
Also joining us on today's show is Michelle Scribner McLean, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Michelle.
So usually you get the last name wrong. Now you get the first name wrong, too.
Wow.
Hello, gentlemen, and Len.
Yeah. Save it for the show.
Oh.
And also joining us on today's show is WDW Today listener Emily Westhoff of the 5 Minute Magic podcast. Soon to have Len Testa on there. Woo. Welcome, Emily.
Hi.
Well, on today's show, appropriately enough, since we do have Miss Veggie Fruit on, we are talking about actually being vegetarian in Walt Disney World. And as you might imagine, the four of us have no idea what that is and what that entails. So we brought on Michelle and Emily, both of which Michelle is a vegetarian and Emily is a vegan. Is that right? Did I get it right?
That's right.
Okay. So little different rules and everything. And just for those who are unaware, Emily, can you describe how a vegan is different than a vegetarian?
Sure. Vegetarians don't eat meat. I, as a vegan, don't eat anything at all that comes from an animal. So no cheese, no milk, no eggs, no honey. I don't wear leather or fur, where some vegetarians might.
Right. And what about
basically, she doesn't eat anything that has a parent.
Right. Yeah. And Michelle, do you eat fish?
I do occasionally eat fish, but typically day to day I do not.
Okay. And so that kind of sets the ground rules there for what we're looking at. So I thought on today's show we could talk about some of the restaurants and dishes that really stand out as vegetarians for those who are traveling to Walt Disney World and looking for a different option, or you're looking to, maybe eat a little healthier. All right, Michelle, let's start off. What's a restaurant that stands out to you as a vegetarian and somewhere that you can go to generally and you enjoy the options over there being a vegetarian?
The place that I always make sure that I go every trip is Boma. And I think buffets in general are the easiest for vegetarians to eat at. Boma just has a lot of different choices, a lot of different salads, and all sorts of different choices for my kids who are vegetarian, too.
Emily, what are your thoughts on Boma?
I have to say Boma is hands down my favorite restaurant in Walt Disney World. They have this awesome tofu coconut curry thing that's really good with coconut rice. And they have more options than any other restaurant that I've been to. And it's true, being a buffet, there's just a lot to choose from.
Now, as a vegan, we always make fun of you guys for eating tofu constantly. Is there something other than tofu over there that stands out?
as the main dish, not so much. There's this great roasted potatoes dish, and there's a chef there named Donna. She was there last time I was there, and a couple of previous times. And she's offered to, make the lentils are not vegan, but they always make them for me in a special way that is vegan. And they'll do some like chocolate covered strawberries for dessert because there's not so much in the dessert area. So they're usually really nice about that, especially at Boma.
How are lentils not vegan?
I think they put some sort of yogurt sauce in them. I'm not really sure. I just know
okay, so it's not the lentils
Those
themselves.
particular lentils.
Okay, yeah.
It's
Okay,
just the
got
way
it.
But yeah, I have to agree. Boma is probably the best.
Now, we should probably take a step back, if you will, and talk about one of the options that you have at every restaurant. And Michelle, maybe you can speak to that, about that you can actually talk to the chef and explain your dietary restrictions, and tell us a little bit about that and what kind of results you generally get from that.
Because Disney deals with so many people, there are, I'm sure, lots of vegetarians. And I think, again, having vegetarian kids, you're never afraid to ask because there's very little in general for kids at Disney that's not just pizza and chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. So if you just stick to that, you're going to be eating the same. The kids are going to be eating the same thing. So I always ask whenever I go to someplace and it's a hamburger place like at the Magic Kingdom, I ask if there's a vegetarian option, and a lot of times there is. I would say 90% of the time, people can accommodate, and they say, "Oh, it's not on the menu, but we can do this and this and this for you."
Is it
just as Emily was saying at Boma, they'll help her out. People are great if you just ask.
Right.
Yeah, I find them to be pretty helpful most of the time. I guess the times when it's not so great is if you visit the same restaurants a lot. Like San Angel Inn is one of my favorites. You have like one, maybe two things to choose from.
I was going to mention that too, that pretty much across the board at Disney, whether it's a quick service or a sit-down restaurant, there are one or two things that you can eat. And I think I've been going for about 20 years. I think it's gotten a lot better, but it's still, you're limited to one or two things. And if you don't happen to like those one or two things, you end up on a quest from one restaurant to the next trying to figure out what you can eat. And it takes up a lot of your time trying to figure it out.
Do you usually call in advance, or do you do something when you just look for stuff when you get there? Because, I mean, if you think getting dining reservations 180 days in advance is a pain.
No, I know this is a shameless plug, but I always visit all years. I look at the menus ahead of time. I discuss it with my family, and then we make ADRs. But the quick service, we don't always look at the menus ahead of time. But I know the studios is one place where I've gone from one place to another to another. I remember one day last August spending at least 40 minutes trying to find something that my kids could eat and would eat. So, but usually the planning ahead is what you need to do.
They always ask when you make ADRs if there's any dietary restrictions, and now even on the online thing, you can check off any specific allergies or anything. They don't have a specific like vegan vegetarian button, but I think they're getting there.
Okay. Well, let me ask you guys this: Michelle and Emily, when you guys go out, to eat anywhere, if you're going, on I know Michelle, you've been doing some traveling lately, and when you guys go out, wherever it may be, do you find Disney World is better, worse, the same as when you're generally traveling in the rest of the world in terms, the United States traveling in terms of finding vegetarian dishes at restaurants?
I find it worse.
I agree.
I just came back from Vancouver. Of course, it's a kind of a hip, up and coming sort of city that's going to have the Olympics there soon. But it was just so easy. I was with a group of several people, and everywhere we went, there's plenty for me to eat. I suspect that the reason I find it worse is because I'm going there with my kids, and I'm always worrying about them getting enough protein and having choices. But I think in general, it is not as, when we go to the restaurant down the street, there are many different options for me. At Disney, as we said, from one place to the next, there may be two things, unless it's an Italian restaurant.
Right. What about Emily? You agree with Michelle that it's
totally. I'm slightly spoiled living in New York City, so there's tons of strictly vegan restaurants that I can visit all the time. But I do find even traveling elsewhere, there's a lot. There are a lot less options, and I guess the most surprising thing is it's Disney World, and they're so very animal centric. I find one of the hardest parks to eat in is Animal Kingdom.
That's right. I agree.
Appropriately enough.
Really,
I love this topic, Emily. Go ahead.
It seems so
what happens to animals
counterintuitive.
when they get a little tired, right?
It just seems counterintuitive because you have Flights of Wonder, and across the road is the tandoori chicken shack or whatever it's called. And it's like
It's for animals who didn't cut it. Can't ride a bicycle? Okay.
there were the low flying birds, I guess.
Exactly. It's the birds that can't be trained.
Picnic in the park. There is no vegan option for picnic in the park.
Right.
I don't spend quite as much time in Animal Kingdom as I do in the other parks, but there's
Join the
really
club, sister. Go ahead.
there's really not much
But
there.
Tusker House, now that it's a buffet, there are a lot more options. It's more like Boma.
They've got actually I like Tusker House quite a bit. They have the roasted potato and they have like a green bean thing and
Yeah, it's kind of like Boma Junior now.
yeah, it's really not bad.
I feel they're in Animal Kingdom. They're just missing a really good opportunity to bring things aside from the veggie burger to people, to kind of give them that message of saving animals and being environmentally friendly by not eating meat.
You would think too. I mean, somewhere in either Africa or Asia, which the last time I checked are fairly large continents, there's got to be a substantial population of vegetarians in there as well.
Yes.
Oh, definitely. I've spent a lot of time in Africa. Lots of vegetarians.
Emily, what's another restaurant that you had on your list as good for being a vegan?
I have to say it's not, I don't know if it counts, but the Main Street Ice Cream Parlor, just because
If that's the case, Mike Newell will be a vegan tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
it's my dinner. They have Rice Dream and Tofutti. So Rice Dream is like a rice-based ice cream, and the Tofutti is a tofu-based ice cream. They have vanilla and chocolate. And it's really ridiculous because when you go in and you ask for it, you have to talk to all these special people in order to get it. And I kid you not, it's like they bring out this pint of ice cream that's all like all freezer burned on the outside, and they have to like dust it off. So anyone ever asks for it.
Okay,
But
hold on.
Nice and fresh, huh?
you order one scoop of ice cream, and I think it's like they don't get to use it often. So I always get like this enormous bowl of ice cream from them because they just have no other occasion to use it. So that's a tip if you ever want a lot of
Yeah,
ice
but
cream.
on the other hand, it's tofu ice cream that you're eating. It's
Delicious.
okay. Next time we're all in the parks, I'll treat you to a tofu cone.
Awesome.
It doesn't even sound right. And then we'll have to do some sort of blind taste testing while we're there.
We could try it.
I think we need to do sip and snack vegetarian vegan style.
Yeah, that'll last all about 10 minutes.
that'd be
Sure, it's like
hysterical,
fish
wouldn't
out
it?
friends.
Fisher friends, Fisher friends, and steak, and duck, okay, and fries.
Michelle, what's another restaurant?
Any breakfast buffet is great. I try to go there in the morning and eat all the eggs I can and avoid lunch usually. But Chef Mickey's, Boma, Crystal Palace, any of those I try to do.
Now,
Just not
how
a bad
about
idea.
how about
Would
you?
the-
Oh,
would-
go ahead,
yeah,
Lauren.
Emily, would pancakes and waffles, anything with yeast, would that count or no?
Here's the thing. Pancakes and waffles, no, just because they're usually made with eggs.
Eggs.
But,
Oh, right.
typically, like when I was last there, I went for breakfast at Crystal Palace, and they made me a vegan waffle, which was delicious. They also made me vegan pancake, which not so good, but they try, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it's the effort.
But it's one of those things when there's really not much at the buffet except for oatmeal, and then I have to ask them to make me something a little special.
So does yeast count? 'Cause does yeast have a parent? I mean,
It doesn't really count.
okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
you-
kind of like
It divides, right? So it's not really a parent.
yeah.
that's right. She can eat all the.
I'm really asking the question here, going a little bit deeper into the insights. It's all right. Go ahead. That's cool. Okay, so beer's in for you
It could be, yes.
if you were
I drank.
drinking. Okay. So far up to this point, it's been all crazy talk. But okay, now we're on the same wavelength here. No, just kidding.
So far, a lot of
I'm just
buffet,
kidding.
a lot of buffets are on where both of you are mentioning. Is there a non-buffet restaurant that stands out as a good option for vegetarians?
I don't really think there is one.
Michelle,
Some of the-
Stands out. There's really usually just one or two things.
Well, Coral Reef, I would see that. I mean, not for Emily, but
Fish.
Yeah. I-
What about Japan?
Norway.
there's nothing in Japan.
It's all really
That's vegan.
there's no like sushi.
No, it's
Oh.
funny because I went there on like maybe 2 trips ago, and they were like, "Oh, you can have this," and then they would rush like back and be like, "Oh no, sorry, that's wrong. You can't eat that. There's like fish in it or something."
Even with the like a
That's-
vegetable based sushi, like a
For some reason, there was nothing. I remember there being nothing I could eat.
I do
that's a
soba
shame.
noodles. So,
Oh,
soba
buckwheat,
noodles,
right?
but
Yeah. You
you
watch
have to
what
make
the
sure
broth
they
is.
don't have the broth is not chicken or fish.
Yeah, I think it was the chicken broth thing as well.
Oh, that'll do it. Yeah.
So now let me
There's
ask.
usually
You
more
can do miso.
Yep, miso's good.
miso, except when they use bonito flakes in miso, and then it's not vegan because I think
You really have to know
You really have to know everything.
everything. Yeah, I didn't
definitely.
realize it was
It's
this.
work.
Yeah.
grocery
Wow.
shopping's awesome too.
Yeah, I can imagine, right?
Oh, in Orlando, right?
So let's wrap it up with this question, I guess. Then, what's Michelle? We'll start with you. What's your favorite dish at Walt Disney World to eat as a vegetarian?
My favorite one dish.
Is there something that really stands out to you? Like like Mike Scopa always talks about the steak at La Cellier. And that's his dish, you know what I mean, or the cheddar cheese soup, something that he really looks forward to on every trip.
I don't have a Scribner special. I would just say anything at Boma. I just make a beeline to Boma and anything that's there, and it changes. But I can't say that I have.
Oh, the salmon at Boma, right? You like
Yep.
the salmon at Boma.
Really anything there. I like the potatoes. I like all the different salads, and it's very authentic. I said I've been to Africa. All those things they have there. Africans eat those salads, and
Oh, you also like the cheeseburger at Beaches and Cream. Oh, oops, I'm sorry.
Wait, hold on, wait. I thought we're not recording it, are we?
Emily?
Edit that one out, Mike.
I mean, I guess Boma is my favorite, but maybe as far as like quick service goes, at the Cantina de San Angel, I make a nice meal of like side dishes. It's usually a pretty awesome like bean burrito-esque contraption that they can kind of come up with for me. So
you might want to give Mike Newell some tips on that because he's got a challenge coming up in December, I believe.
Oh, yeah, great.
What goes into this? Tell me more. I'm excited.
into the meal of size.
So you've got like guacamole, chips
And guac, rice, beans, and then if you ask for like a side of like flour tortillas.
There's really nothing wrong with that. That's
Glad
tasty.
I'm not rooming with.
Emily.
Glad I'm not rooming with Newell.
you down there.
It's good. And you can get a meal for two that'll serve two people for like $15. So
Wow.
it's a winner.
Yeah.
I can tell you one thing that I don't like to see. Maybe Mike can answer that question. What is the one thing that sends the fear of God into me when we go down there?
The New York Yankees.
Fear of
People
God.
walking around with.
Oh my God! I think we're all
Oh.
in agreement with this. The turkey legs.
Those are-
Yeah.
I have to
gross,
go in a
and I like
different
turkey.
direction.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't know what they put in them, but I tried them once about 10 years ago, and I said, "Good grief!"
No, there's
They don't have turkey legs.
I wish they did. That'd be awesome. It's so I don't know. It's a bad picture.
barbaric
Bad
looking.
visual.
It's
Yeah.
wrong.
It really looks like the sort of thing that Fred Flintstone gets on the
Yes.
side of his car that tips
That's
the car.
right.
Oh my goodness!
Very good. Well, awesome. Well, thank you both, Michelle and Emily, for coming on to talk to us about your weird habits.
Weird. Not
Thank
weird.
you. I feel so
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Thanks for coming on the show. Come back again really soon. Freaks. That was me impersonating Matt. That wasn't my actual opinion. I really believe it. It's fabulous.
And don't forget you check out, of course, Michelle at allears.net and Emily at 5minutemagic.com. And don't forget this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by All-Star Vacation Homes. And, if you go to Walt Disney World and you get kind of, fed up with eating at Boma 8 times in a row, you might say to yourself, I would love to make something really nice for myself. But you realize, it's kind of hard to do that in your rooms at the major Disney World resorts. You go to Port Orleans, you go to Pop Century, no kitchens there. But you go to All-Star Vacation Home, you have a full kitchen there. You can go to town and grill up all the tofu you could possibly want to eat. So that tofu burger turkey leg thing, it's all you. And you can check it out at www.allstarvacationhomes.com. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the WDW Today website at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, Mike Newell, Michelle Scribner-McLean, and Emily Westhoff, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.